99.1 FM CKXS. It's time once again for the All About Real Estate show. Pete Ayler is in the studios with us. Good morning to you, Pete.
Good morning, Greg.
Hey, I want to ask you, the coat drive. I know you were overwhelmed with all the coats that you guys had picked up over the last little while. Are you done now, or are you still collecting a little bit longer?
No, we're still collecting right up until the 23rd.
Okay.
And it's still been great response. We have 2 or 3 people a day stop and drop off. I think I'm up to like 2 truckloads now.
Wow.
Like I had just 2 days ago, I had another half a truckload to load up, and it's been awesome. It's been I can't believe how much clothes we've gotten, and like I say, we've been concentrating on kids' clothes. So I'm sure half the clothes we've gotten is kids' clothes, kids' winter clothes. So it's been great. It's been awesome.
Good. Well done, everyone. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
And you'll do that till when?
Till the 23rd of December.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know.
If you have anything, and we've been, as soon as I get it, like I try to get it over there as quickly as possible, right? Because we want to get it there where the people need it. So it's been awesome.
And it's getting cold, so it's nice to take care of those that need a little assistance this year. On the program today, we always think about real estate agents when it comes to, selling and buying your house. But, a lot of your opportunity to make money is also in real estate. And I think that's where you as a real estate agent can help someone kind of take their portfolio to another level. And, real estate is such a good investment, right?
Right.
So I thought today, why don't I ask you a little bit about investing in real estate? Maybe a second property. What would you suggest to someone who's contemplating that as kind of an investment opportunity?
Yeah, and with low interest rates, and of course, low interest rates means that if you stick your money in the bank, you're not getting much.
No.
So that sort of, call it, that opportunity is not the greatest. You say, okay, if I have a few bucks, do I put it in the stock market? Possibly, and there's some opportunity there too. But certainly, rental properties, investment properties, it's something that I personally have done over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And this building is a
correct.
Call it a rental property for you. So I've had, which this shows how old we get to be. I've had like 25 years of personal experience with it. And it's been good, and there's different types of investment properties. There's single family residential, where, if you want to buy a second home and you want to rent it out, you can buy a single family. There's multifamily, whether it be duplex, triplex, fourplex, you can get into more than that, like over a fourplex, you can get into mixed commercial residential with the way we have here. Yeah. You can get into straight commercial. You could get into, call it, a little more industrial type stuff. So there's lots of opportunities, or different types of investing. There's also a lot to know if you're going to get into that.
There are some, I will say you've got to go in with, a real estate agent. And somebody who has experience and can help you through a couple of the things that might kind of catch you off guard after you do a lot of work and realize later, like, I can't do this. I don't have the money to do it.
Yeah, I would definitely say, you want to deal with someone who, if you're going to explore doing that, you want to deal with an agent who knows, some of the ins and outs of it. And like I've repeated more than once on this show, one of the things I try to stress is go into it with your eyes wide open and with as much information. And so if we're let's talk about residential rentals. Yeah. If you're buying, so one thing you have to remember when you're buying say you're buying an existing property, let's say a duplex, right, and that already has 2 tenants in it. Just be aware that, first of all, if you're buying a residential or a second property as a rental, you're going to need a bigger down payment. So you're not going to.
So is it 20%?
20% minimum, depending on your institution. But I'm going to say 20% minimum.
Yep.
Now there are different ways that you can come up with that 20%. I mean, you know, I know there's like lines of credit that some people have, like, you know, sort of borrowed the money somewhere else for the down payment or something. But at the end of the day, 20%. So, and we'll use 100,000 so Good. You got to have 20 grand, right? You have to remember that if you're buying a property and if there's already tenants in that property, you have to assume those tenants. You can't buy it and get rid of them.
Right.
So you have to assume those tenants, and you have to assume them at the rent that they're paying. So now you can, you know, depending on when it was last increased, but, you know, you can maybe increase it slightly, but you can't buy a property and say, okay, Greg, you're my tenant. All right, I bought this property.
Right.
I want you out because you're not paying high enough rents. We all know rents have gone up around here in the last couple of years. So that's one of the first things you have to remember.
You should be finding out what they're paying for rent.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen some properties before, and I thought, that's not a bad deal. And then as you investigate some more and find out that they're paying a very low rent,
exactly.
Now you're kind of you're thinking that they're going to be paying kind of, you know, face market value, but they might be paying 30-40% less.
That's right. And typically, like, there's lots of rentals out there that the tenants have been there a long time, and that they're not paying what's called market rent today.
Right.
They're paying lower than that, and that's fine, and it's good for them, and they're probably very good tenants, and that's why they're still in these buildings, because they are paying their rent every month and so on. But you got to be aware of that, you know, if you buy something, you can only increase it so much. If you buy something that's vacant, and you know, just let's say you buy a vacant property and now you want to rent it out, well, you can set the rent wherever you want. Then you're fine.
Right.
You do have to rent. If you're residential, you have to sign a 1-year lease. So one year. Now, I say have to. I mean, unless the person renting it is like, I just need it for 6 months or something. But typically, it's a 1-year lease.
Right.
Ontario, there's a standard Ontario residential lease out today. It's a very good one. I use it for all of my tenants. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. It's very clear. So it's a really, really good one. The other thing you have to think about is when you're buying a rental property, it's sort of like the value. How do you value it, right? So there's a few ways of valuing it. So one of the ways you value it is say, okay, there was a rule of thumb I've always used is what I call 1%. So if you pay $100,000 for something, you need $1,000 a month rent. That's a 1% rule. That's just a very quick, easy rule to kind of like say, is this worth it? Now, when you're talking about return on an investment, there's two sides to a return on investment when it comes to real estate. There's the month-to-month cash flow return, and then there's the increase in the actual value of what you're buying return, right? So let's just use 100,000 again because it's an easy number. So you say, all right, I'm buying something for 100,000, I'm getting $750 rent. So you figure out that side and say my gross rent is $750. I take off, you know, $250 a month for costs. I get $500, and you know my return is 5%. Let's call it 5 or 6%. That's which is technically not bad, but it's a little low. It could be a little be considered a little low.
Safe.
However, if that property you're buying goes up by $5,000 a year in value, well, you're getting another 5% on the other side. So if you're getting 5 or 6 on this side, the cash flow side, as I call it, and you're getting another 5% on the other side, well, technically your return is 11%. So you have to think about both of those sides. Typically, over the last 25 years in town, that increase in value has been very, very slow until the last few years. Because, think of what the value in the last few years, what's gone on.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, something that was $75,000 3 or 4 years ago is $150 today, right? Which none of us would have ever dreamt that. But so those are some of the things you got to think about when you're buying. You also have to think about, okay, do I, when it comes to tenants and having rental property, I mean, it's not all for everyone. You have to realize that,
True.
Do you want to get a call at, whatever, Christmas Eve at 6 o'clock, and that
the water's not working, the toilet's backed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything's possible.
And believe me, you get those calls.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens, and it's like anything in your life. If it's going to go wrong, it'll go wrong at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to go wrong the day that you got lots of time, and you'll be sitting down at Christmas dinner, and it's question. Like ring, ring, ring. Oh boy.
No lie. I had a phone call on Christmas Eve at 4 o'clock in the evening. Yep. And had to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. I now you can get lucky, and I have awesome tenants, but one of my tenants, it was January, like time to pay the January rent. So he said to me, I met him and he paid me the rent. This was a few years ago. It was like the end of December. He said, "Oh, we'll take care of the rent. Here you go." And he said, "Oh, by the way," he said, "Christmas morning, my furnace wasn't working." And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "My brother is a furnace guy, and he was coming over for Christmas that morning. So I just called him first and said, 'Hey, bring your tools.'" He said, so he came over and him and I fixed it. I was like, "You are the best. You get the best tenant in the world award," because I'm like, "Are you serious?" I was like, no, that was like, whew,
I have equally good tenants. I could tell you many stories, but I don't want to give too much away since they live above the radio station. But they love my tenants, and that's a key part of it. You want to make sure you got good tenants when you're going to rent out.
Well, and that's the thing. And what I would say is, if you're contemplating, getting into something like this, reach out to me. And we can take an as case basis and say, okay, this particular property, this, and I can explain a little in more detail some of the different opportunities, some of the things you have to think about, but again, with low interest rates, it's a great opportunity. Real estate is something that, if you do things right, it's a great investment and it can be a great return. And it's obviously long term. I always tell people when they invest in rentals that rental real estate, it's not a short term get rich quick scheme. It's a long term play. And if you're the right kind of person, and the other thing too, if you're handy, like if you're a handy guy that can fix things, or girl that can fix things yourself, it's also a good thing to get into. But there's opportunity there for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it may not be for you. And I think and I'm sure you're okay with that too. If they had a good conversation and after they, looked at every possibility and everything, at the end of the day, they might go, you know what, it's not the right time for us. And that could happen too.
I mean, I've literally had conversations with people that have talked about getting into it. And after I've sort of laid it all out to them, they've said, "Yeah, you know what? We're not sure we're ready for that." And that's, like you said, that's okay too. I mean, I've always said to people, I want to sell you property, but I don't have to sell you the property that we're talking about here. I mean, I'd rather if you're not ready or if you don't like this property, I don't want to sell it to you, right? Like I want you to buy something you're ready to buy or you want to buy. I'll sell you that.
Fair enough. All right. There you go. That's the All About Real Estate show for you this week. Of course, the particulars, once again, if you're looking for a house or maybe a possible investment property, check out your website, right?
Yeah, go to our website, to see all our listings, riversite.com. Follow us on Facebook, or reach out to any one of our realtors directly with their, call them on their cell phone or whatever. Call me directly if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we talk about on this show. If you have any questions, we do the odd time where we have the question session, and sometimes people are, maybe leery to ask a question on air. Give me a call. You can find my cell phone on our website. Give me a call if you have any questions about anything we talk about, and I can fill you in a little more on specific details.
Good. All right. There it is. The All About Real Estate show for you this Saturday. Thanks a lot, Pete, for joining us again.
Yes. Thank you, Greg.
See you next time right here at 99.1 FM CKXS.